What's up guys, my name is Mike and this is my schoolie Chevy Express 3500 6.0. I've been living out of this for just over a week now, but in 2020 I spent 150 days on the road living in my car and then a travel trailer, and that inspired me to change the way that I was living. And so this is Bailey. She's been my rock and my partner in crime. We travel the country together and she's with me wherever I go. So this is my 12-volt fridge. It's really great, although I don't have lithium. That's one of the upgrades that I probably will do in the near future. I just have the AGM. But it's a really small fridge and it really just pushes me to buy what I really need, and then I'm not wasting a lot of goods either. And so this is my workstation. I am working on the road, so this is definitely a place where I spend a lot of my time. If I were to make any changes in the future, I probably would have had it a little bit better of a setup for seating. I have a counter stool here, which is where I kind of do a lot of my work. So I essentially just take out the counter stool. It's not very leg friendly. Sometimes I'm working on the side and I usually have a laptop here as a second monitor, but it works, right? And I think with living in a bus, it's a lot of give and take and what you're willing to work with. And so those are one of the things that if I were to change, it probably would have been a little bit better of a setup. I do have butcher block countertops, which has been really nice. It adds like just a homey, cozier feel. For me, if I knew that if I wanted to get into schoolie living full time, I needed a place just like my own little sanctuary that felt cozy and homey. So that was one of the things that I changed. And another thing that I really recommend in your schoolie build is having these magnets in your cabinets. Before I got the cabinet, stuff was just falling out, and this just gives a nice little click for things to just fasten nice and secure. So I have my plates, some candles in there, and then my spices, and even more storage up here. Food, espresso beans, I mean, I've got it all. And then I have an overmount sink, which is really nice. I want to give a special shout out to my buddy at home, Stephen Macholik. He helped me with a lot of this work. But this is an overmount sink, so this can be used as a cutting board. Again, with the schoolie build, I wanted to make sure that I'm using as much space as possible and that I'm using all the room that I have. I have my propane stove. This is hooked up underneath. I have two 30-pound tanks on the undercarriage of the bus that I'll show you guys a little bit later. But I can run propane. I also have my camping stove for when I want to make meals outside. But this is essentially the kitchen setup. I have what I need. You know, again, it's a lot of give and take of what I'm willing to trade off, and so this has just been really great for me and what I need it for. So I do have a 30-gallon fresh tank and a 20-gallon gray tank, and that's been extremely practical for me. And so underneath here, I have all of my kitchen supplies, a lot of my bathing supplies as well. I have all the plumbing done that goes to the undercarriage of the bus. I got my dog food. So really it's all about bringing stuff that you really need and getting rid of the stuff that you don't. Before I started my trip, I sold a lot of my personal belongings and I ended up donating a lot too. But with that, it comes it's absolutely freeing just to get rid of stuff and just really have what you need. So this is my kitchen, and it's been an awesome thing to, you know, cook up meals, and it feels like home for sure. So this is the living space. When I do have guests, you know, a person can sleep here very comfortably. I have the storage underneath, which I can put my window unit and my screens for my windows, and this is all storage that I use. It's pretty much long-term storage, stuff that I wouldn't actively be using on a day-to-day basis, but when I do want to get my window unit and some of my bigger things, my tent, and a lot of my camping supplies, then I'll just go ahead and get the storage underneath here. Again, more storage within here. We had some leftover butcher blocks, so we just use it to kind of finish this off and then make this a heating blanket, lanterns, and my hammock all goes within here. And then yeah, so we added rope trim, and these are stock speakers. They don't work the best, but again, they do work and they add a nice touch. A lot of the stuff that you see, I got on Etsy. When I was building this out, I wanted to support local businesses and handmade stuff. So a lot of this is you know, special to me, and it's, you know, something that, you know, you can't buy in your normal place. I have some 12-volt features here for electricity. I can just turn this on and get USB and all that good stuff. My lights here are also on a dimmer, so I can throw this on and these lights will be on a dim whenever I want. You can't, if you're living on the road, I'm sure you guys see this everywhere, but it adds such a nice touch. The string lights, they're in the front, they're in the middle, they're in the back, and it just adds such a cozy vibe to the overall place. And so whenever I'm at night, it also saves a lot of, or it saves battery as well. I just put these on and it just adds like such a cozy vibe to everything. So my name is Mike and I've been doing schoolie life for on the road just over a week, and I'm definitely new to this, but it's been a great time. I've had a ton of fun. In just over a week I've met some incredible people. Like I was saying, in 2020 I did a huge road trip. I spent 150 days on the road throughout the continental US. Went all the way up to Alaska and lived out of a minivan there, and lived out of my Jeep for about 50 days as well, and then bought a travel trailer. So through that, it really inspired me to kind of change the way that I was living. I had so much fun. It was really the most time in my life where I felt like the biggest sense of feeling alive, and just the community and the amount of people that you meet, it's really special to me. And so during all this, I was working remote. When COVID happened, we all were forced to work remotely, and so what I do for work is I work in financial technology for a firm on Wall Street, which is definitely fast-paced and definitely can take a lot out of you. And getting into this life, it really just kind of made it simpler for me, and I was able to really figure out what's important in life and to fill up my life with as much experiences as possible. And so throughout my travels, I knew that I kind of couldn't go back to the old life that I was living. In 2020, I just moved to Atlanta, moved into a beautiful apartment. But through that, I realized that I didn't miss or need any of those things that we think we need. And so I essentially just hit the road with my dog Bailey, and with really no plan. I met, you know, 2 friends in Jackson Hole, and after that, it was just kind of history of never wanting to go back. All right, so now that we've left the kitchen, this is my closet. I've really slimmed down a lot of my clothes and my selection. A lot of it is just, again, what I really need. I have my small chest here for just like some smaller things. I have a little bit of a cubby here where I can put my table, my tools, my propane stove. So it's a small little space, but it's used pretty well, I think. But one of the things I do want to show you in the kitchen real quick, on the warmer days, I can flip this out, and this can be my outdoor shower. So this can swing enough. I can open up this window here so that when I do want to take an outdoor shower, I can do that. In the colder months, it's a little bit harder, but there is no shower in my bathroom. I do have a Nature's Head compost toilet that I would honestly say works incredibly well. It's, you know, it was one of the things that was definitely an expensive cost to my build, but, you know, I think having a bathroom and having that ability is crucial in a school bus. So this is my bedroom. I have slept so incredibly in here. It just feels like my own little sanctuary and home for Bailey and I. She loves just hanging out here and doing exactly what you're seeing. She loves to just relax. She doesn't act like a Siberian Husky whatsoever. She's doing this, you know, 90% of the time. But what's really cool about this space is that because of the handicap door on the back, I can swing that open, and if I'm in some really cool parts and I want some fresh air or just kind of want to look out, I can always open up that handicap door and just enjoy wherever I'm at. I found this on Etsy. A local artist just drew up my bus. It's a short bus, and it just kind of represents what I'm doing, and just kind of living life to the fullest. And yeah, I have all of my electrical solar charge controllers here, so this is where it's going to be telling me how much amp hours I have left on my solar. I have 300 watts of solar up top, and this is where all my monitors are, so I can manage that pretty well. I have storage underneath that I can access it from the inside as well. And that's what's great about having the handicap door as well, is I can access the storage on the outside. But this is a little garage door that we made, and essentially it gives me the ability to see all my storage underneath. So all of my electrical is also underneath there on this side. So it's divided up, and I have some cubbies in there for extra storage as well. So for anyone who's interested in nomadic living, I can't push this enough. You just got to do it. You know, for me, looking back in 2020 and even just buying the schoolie, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had friends and family think that I was crazy. I remember sitting at the Thanksgiving table with my family, and I told them I bought a home, and them being super ecstatic, but then them telling them it was a school bus. So you know, it's exciting. You know, you're going to meet some of the most incredible people. You're going to be at some of the coolest places, and even if it's not a schoolie, you know, if it's a van or even the back of your car. I mean, I started in my Jeep, then I moved to a trailer, and then I moved to my schoolie. So it was a work in progress of just kind of figuring out, like, you know, what makes me truly happy. And it's, you know, comes with a lot of just going with your gut and listening to your heart and what you truly want to do, and don't kind of listen to the outside noise. Listen to that internal piece that's saying, hey, I want to lead you to that direction. So for me, it's been just an incredible time, even just through the build process, and now just being able to live on the road. You know, it's the whole bit of it is just, you're going to grow so much, and it's going to be a time of your life where you're going to look back and be so glad that you dove in. What's really nice about this short bus is having this door. Because of my bike on the back, this is one of the doors that I use pretty regularly. It opens up a nice way, and this is where all of my storage is. So I can mount this door here, and what I did is I do have a generator, so when the solar does go, it just gives me another resource to get power from. And this is really where all my crap is. I have a propane fire pit that I like to whip out on the roof deck. I have a hose that goes through the middle of the bus, so that when I am relaxing and find a really cool spot, I can then take the propane fire pit out and put it on the rooftop. And that's probably one of my favorite parts about my schoolie, is just the ability to have a fire, especially when I head out west. You know, during the summer, the fire bans are pretty common, and having this propane fire pit is a nice little touch to my overall rig. So this is the back of the bus. This is my Honda CRF230M dual sport bike. It's just incredible to have to add to my overall bus. You know, with the bus at getting like 9 to 10 miles per gallon, having this just makes life a little bit more practical. It gives me the ability that once I'm set up at a place, I can just kind of get up and go. If I'm going into town and need to get eggs or bread or whatever I need, and I don't want to take the bus everywhere, I can just hop on the back of the bike and be able to kind of go short distances. But it's definitely my baby. It's been a lot of fun to drive, and it's really all I need. I ended up selling my car, selling my trailer, all the things that I once had on my 2020 road trip, and now this is all of my methods of transportation in one. So then we have a ladder. One of the things that I was definitely wrestling with in my schoolie build was the ladder and how I could get to my roof deck. I saw the RV ladders, the aluminum ones and the black ones, but the aesthetics of the wood is definitely something that I love. It does add some weight, and with my schoolie build, weight is definitely something I have to be cognizant of. With the roof deck and the butcher block and all the things that's in, I think I'm around 12 to 13,000. So that's something to definitely be mindful of. But with this ladder, it's definitely one of the things that I'm super glad that I did. I ended up returning a lot of my prior stuff that I bought on my old ladder just because of how beautiful this came out. It definitely was hard to mount. It did take some time. We have the long carriage bolts that go through some wood. This actually was built after the foam boards were installed, so I had to rip out all of that and get into the inside of the bus to make sure that the wood and the ladder was fastened securely. And so in 2020, like I said, this is my road trip. This is where I hit all of the national parks that inspired my schoolie build. I just remember being in these moments along the US and just realizing there's a lot more to life than just possessions, and it's all about experiencing as much as you can, because I want to look back in life and think that I impacted X amount of people and I lived life to the fullest. And it's definitely something that it's inspired this, because if you told me that I'd be living in a school bus at the beginning of last year, I would have thought that you were crazy. But that's the beauty of life, is you never know where it's going to take you. So one of the things that I really had to wrestle with and plan pretty strategically, it was what I was going to do with my propane. You know, schoolie fires are definitely something that are pretty common, and I really wanted to make sure that this was done the right way. And so with cooking and all that, I really wanted to make it as easy as possible. And so this is what I came up with. Like I said, I have two 20-pound tanks on the bottom. I have a latch here that opens it up, and I want to clean this up a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not fully completed with my build, but I am planning on making this Eagles green. I am from the Philadelphia area, so go Birds. And so what we did, we used an old sign for the cover. And really with the schoolie builds, it's all about finding stuff that you can use for your own bus and making it work. And for this was great. A great piece to just have it cut out. We cut out the steel frame of the bus, and we made this awesome little compartment for the propane tanks. So with my electrical setup, I have 300 watts of solar that charges the battery. For right now, it does seem to be enough, but if I were to redo it, or I do plan on adding probably some more wattage, because with all of my electronics and me working on the road, I definitely need to make sure I have the proper source of energy. And then I also have my roof deck. It's such a fun feature within my bus that I can kind of relax up, put 2 lawn chairs here, eat my meals, eat my dinners, and just relax. Like I was saying earlier, I have my propane tank's hooked up on a hose, so when I do want to use my fire pit, I can just use it up here. And then I use Trex decking material for the roof deck. You know, with the weather and it being exposed to all different kinds of elements, I needed something that I felt would be able to kind of maintain that. So it is a little bit heavier, but for right now, it's really worked well for me, and it's been perfect. Yeah, so follow my adventures on Wandering Bus Dude. It's just Bailey and I touring through the country and living life to the fullest as much as we can. I do work remotely for financial technology. I use hotspots and Wi-Fi and a cell booster to pretty much power my station, my long monitor and my laptop for multiple monitors to work at. But yeah, Wandering Bus Dude is where you can catch me in Bailey. And so we're planning on being on the road full time and living out of this and just traveling the US, because I want to look back in life and just think that I live life to the fullest as much as I can, and I chase experiences, not possessions. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming and check out my bus. I'm so excited to share this with you, and I wish you all the best of luck within your own journey.